On today's Minute of the Apes, and I'm packing you an extra pair of shoes, and don't forget your ape eyes, just in case.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
What is the divine bomb?
They are the good human and the dead human!
Where there is fire, there is smoke.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd, Sean sitting across from me, and the man delivering the humor, it's Richard. How are you today, Richard?
I'm doing fine. What kind of eyes do you think those are? Are those bedroom eyes? Are those angry eyes? Are those ape eyes?
You know,
Betty Davis eyes.
Betty Davis eyes?
without going into too much family history, my wife and daughter have a thing that they call angry eyes, and so it's weird when you said angry eyes. That's exactly because they tell me I can't do what they do, and so I see it and I'm like, oh, it's the girl's angry eyes.
Get the pack.
All right, so here we are. We are in minute 4. There's not a lot of housekeeping to this, but I'm excited because this is going to be our minute that we actually get some live action. We start telling a story. So, Sean, don't you tell us what's going on with minute 4?
All right, we start minute 4 with the camera tilting down to see a pair of closed eyes and ends with beepings and warnings and levers.
Oh, my.
And beep boops.
So here it comes, minute 4 of Marky Mark at the Planet of the Apes.
As of minute 4, we still have the reset counter.
All right, so
Yeah, we've
visually,
been doing
what
good with Gertie. She's been laying in the sun.
is
We've
she
been very
sleeping?
lucky. Yeah.
Yes.
What a good
Sorry, I
girl.
just woke her up.
She's a sun baby.
My bad.
Please. So visually what we get is we get a tilt down what looks like a helmet to what we were talking about, which is a pair of greenish blue, greenish blue
eyes that
monkey
open up.
eyes.
Yeah, this was almost kind of laughable.
Yeah, like, was it supposed to surprise us? Oh, no.
And the
It's
eyes,
alive.
the eyes themselves just look kind of sullen. Like there's nothing really interesting. There's no expression really in the eyes. You're just like,
Right.
I'm looking at you.
Hi.
But there's no intensity
Hi,
in
I've
them
come to
either.
talk to you about your car's auto warranty.
I think you're absolutely right. What it's intended to be is let's go off of the aesthetic of the costumes and whatnot that we've been doing, and suddenly, boom! Because even the music kind of stings when it hits.
Right. The eyes open, and I needed. We don't really get a lot of the under eye or anything to kind of give a lot of expression, but I would have loved some type of wincing or something just to give me a tone, other than just the fact that I'd been caught staring at a title sequence for 3 minutes.
Right. So real quickly, the rest of the visual things we get directed by Tim Burton.
And the title and the changes, right? The Tim Burton changes now to a
Like, almost like being built static like.
computer
Yeah,
screen,
it does,
computer
you're
screen
right.
image. We totally changed at this point, which I
Different
found
font,
very
too.
unusual. It's supposed to transition us into the next things we're going to see,
Right.
But it just kind of came out of nowhere after watching the first title sequence.
So we get a tilt down over a field of stars.
We get the
this.
Star Wars tilt down.
Yes, we do. And we get this film's version of the star farts as we get a lensed flared sun. We see a rotating end vision of some planetary landscape. And then we begin to see the inward look into some kind of
Oh, you
space
said
vehicle.
N-word. Okay, sorry.
What'd you think I said?
N-word.
Inward view into some kind of space capsule, and we see a chimpanzee pushing buttons and lots of little beeping siren type things going off as he begins to grab levers. That is our visual
So I mean,
elements here.
when we sent monkeys into space to begin with, they weren't actually doing anything. They were just along for the ride, right? They weren't actually.
It was to test and see if a living being
could
could go
handle
up.
it. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we weren't training monkeys to pull the lever, Kronk, push the button, Kronk.
Right.
Sean, this is the future.
Oh, the future of 2000.
Yeah.
I think what we need to
2001.
understand is, look, they have specialists that train these monkeys, and they are the biggest, most special. Tell your mother hole for me kind of
I
specialist.
didn't even notice. Hang on, he's in a. I'm watching it again. He's in a suit. He's got a helmet on, but his hands are free, so that doesn't really do you much good.
That is
He's
true.
not wearing gloves. So
and
why,
it's not sealed off.
Yeah. So what's the point of the helmet?
Maybe his costume. We're talking about the chimpanzee, not Marky Mark. This chimpanzee's costume. Maybe it has some kind of seals on the arms, so you can have the dexterity of your fingers.
But still, if something happens
Oh, that's a really good point.
and you
He's-
lose
he's-
pressure in there, his hands will freeze off.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point.
I mean, obviously they did it because probably the monkey didn't want to have gloves on, and you want
also, I think in that first shot, you want to see it's a chimpanzee
actual-
hand.
yeah.
It's an ape.
If you're curious, the title of this particular opening, chapter 2, is named after this character, which is not named yet till the next minute. But
Okay.
this is specifically named after this particular ape we see here. What wasn't apparent, according to the script, is that we're supposed to see Jupiter first. A massive swirl of colors filling the screen for a beat. Continue past the planet as Jupiter's moons come into view, forming a breathtaking line of frozen orbs. Change of direction with gut-wrenching speed, looping closer to one moon, which I guess is our pan down onto the moon. We didn't do quite the same kind of slingshot that
Right.
they want to expect. Past the metallic frame of what seems to be a ship's window to a multicolored controlled light panel aglow with LCD lights. A long fur-covered finger punches buttons on the board. A precise series...
Fur-covered finger?
Fur-covered
Okay.
finger. They definitely wanted a fur-covered finger. Precise series of as a course is digitally imaged.
I mean, that's really... It's not too far off of what we see in the first minute. I mean, what they're trying, obviously, to establish is monkeys in space. They want us to know
monkeys
this.
in space.
Doesn't that have that feeling?
Without the visual image of Jupiter, I have no idea where this monkey.
Yeah, I would think.
Now,
it'd
that
be
is the
above
thing, is
Earth.
you don't have any context of what we're seeing.
Is this our sun and our moon?
Is it
Is
Earth?
this Earth we're looking at? Are we? It looks like a contemporary astronaut, so we're not in a.
It's not like future tech or
It's
anything.
not a future tech ape or suit or spaceship. This is conventional at this particular point, so we know we're not there. We don't know if we're in the future. We don't know if the past. We don't know if we're testing something. We don't really know much of anything from this opening scene, and it's kind of a bland opening scene.
Oh, and
It's not very exciting.
No.
I'm watching it again. So the ape has a control panel in front of him with buttons, and he's in the little brown thing in the had to call the X-Men or whatever in the middle. But then whenever he hits turbulence, he's pulling levers and that are in the exact same spot, but they were not there in the shot before. Go back and look at it.
Well, first off, when he's pushing the button, right away I want to go into shock therapy and go, "Hey, bitch, quit hitting the same button over and over," because for the 3 times he hits that same
it's
button.
like the elevator button. You hit
Yeah.
it once, hitting it 5 more times is going to make it go faster. But look, it goes from a screen
Turbulence,
down
yeah.
to the buttons and with that little round thing in the middle. And then once it hits turbulence, he's flipping switches. But where did those switches come from?
I mean, unless his seat had rotated,
No,
there's no way those
maybe
those three levers were there.
we're not there because you see his crotch there, and his crotch was in the previous shot.
That's a
when
good
he was
point.
Hitting the buttons.
Okay.
I'm sure they were there. I'm sure they didn't suddenly just take that out and stage them in.
Maybe. Okay, so we go to the shot at approximately 50 seconds in, and he's hitting the buttons below. You see the word nav/com, and then you have a series of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons, and he's pushing. He pushes the ones beneath it. Then it cuts back to a shot of him, and that is for about 4 or 5 seconds as we see a little more turbulence hit. Maybe during that time, quickly the levers come out. Maybe what he did was trigger him to go. Whoop,
But where did
and we
all the
can
other
see-
buttons go?
Shh, stop.
Or he rotated or something. Yeah, no, the levers seem out of place.
They do.
I bet if we were on the set, they would make sense to us. I don't think they would have just suddenly moved them out and popped them in and think the audience wouldn't catch it unless they had to reshoot the scene for some reason.
But I'm telling you, Sean's 100. Unless the little call X-Men thing is where they come from, because
Yeah.
they have a shot at 39 seconds in where you can see the chimp straddling this device, and all you see are those 4 buttons up top, 5 buttons below, the thing in the middle, and then a couple little, I don't know what's below it.
The only points we really see is through the window, the lights begin to fill the frame. Now we can't see the buttons on the board and begin to slap the controls in confusion.
Yeah, they just wanted to put in another shot of not hitting buttons in action. So they just inserted levers instead.
It's not written whether he's pressing buttons in the script.
I'm a huge fan of doing the whole start a film in medias res, the idea you're starting in the middle of action. This is the middle of action that I have no context to what it is, and to your point, there's no peril. I'm not stressed. I'm not excited. I'm just like, this is a monkey pushing shit. I would rather, right off the top, see Sean's thing of wanting to see monkeys fling shit at everybody instead of push shit. So it's not the most compelling of openings.
I mean, if we had somehow transitioned from the bedroom eyes into this ape's eyes,
okay, I can
as
see
it begins,
that.
if there would, I mean, not that you just want to fade right from one to the other, but if we could have seen like static eyes into distressed eyes or something that would bring the title sequence into this opening sequence, I might be
Right.
vested in what this character is about to do.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
I mean, but what can this monkey do that a human couldn't do just as well?
I'm just perplexed though.
Monkey see,
now
monkey
about
do.
Monkey see, monkey throw poo.
How long was that going to take before we got to that?
Apparently 5 films.
So I'm not ever going to be able to get past where these levers came from. I didn't
I
pick
didn't
up on
even
that.
notice it until right now, to be honest.
So weird.
Well, I assume there's somewhere not in the shots we saw earlier, but they're there.
Well, we'll have to look at the next minute and see.
But
if we
I'm
can see
telling you,
anything.
if you go to that first shot and you look at this, what I think, because if you look at the buttons below the levers, I'm thinking that little round thing pulled back and the levers came out or something like
Okay.
that, and they just didn't keep that in there. They probably just cut to it and thought no one will ever notice this. No one would ever watch this movie 1 minute at a time and notice kind of detail.
Notice these small little components.
Until 3 nerds decide they need to
And
do
that he
it.
wasn't wearing gloves. He wasn't wearing space gloves.
Oh, Lord. Okay, when we get to the next 3, I love those next 3 as much as I love the good films of the first ones. I'm curious to see. I don't want to step into this ready to hate it. I don't want to do that. It's not my favorite of the films at all. But already it's like, wow, that's...
Our job is to notice these small things. Laugh at little things.
But
we're
that's half a film.
I don't
This film
I'm-
is a lie.
I'm not being critical of the sudden levers. I think it's kind of funny. Like,
Yeah.
we got levers now.
We got levers.
We got
Anyone got
levers.
anything else besides
We got
levers?
No.
Or can we get to the next exciting minute? Because we have some excitement in the next
Yes.
minute. Yes, we do. All right. If that's it, it's going to be a short episode today. That's it. We'll be back minute 5 tomorrow, and I'm going to tease it. Guess who we get to see tomorrow? Who? I can't tell you. I'll have to wait. Until then, everyone have a great day.
Bye, everybody.